Have you ever stood at the edge of your dreams, staring into the foggy unknown, wondering how you'll ever get there? Imagine a bridge that exists, yet cannot be seen. A bridge that only appears when you dare to step forward in faith. The truth is, your future is not a distant land waiting for you to stumble upon it. It is being crafted right now, in the workshop of your imagination. The visions you nurture, the feelings you embrace, and the conversations you rehearse within yourself are the bricks and beams of this unseen bridge. Every great achievement begins in the invisible. The job you long for, the health you seek, the love you desire, they are first lived inwardly. Feel the reality of that dream as though it were already so. Stand in the place you wish to arrive, not with your feet, but with your mind and heart. And then something remarkable happens. Life begins to arrange itself. You meet the right person by chance. An unexpected opportunity arises, a door opens that once was shut. These are not accidents. They are the stepping stones of the unseen bridge forming beneath your steps. Even the past, that seemingly fixed and unchangeable terrain, holds keys to your bridge. By reimagining old wounds, by revising what once caused pain, you can loosen the chains that kept you from moving forward. The journey is not about waiting for proof. It is about moving with quiet certainty before the proof arrives. Every structure that stands in this world, from the tallest skyscraper to the simplest handmade craft, once existed only in the invisible realm of thought. Before any architect laid a brick, there was a blueprint, a vision conceived in the mind. In the same way, your imagination serves as the architect of your personal reality. The life you are living today is not merely a result of circumstances, but a reflection of the inner pictures and emotional states you have entertained consistently over time. The world outside bends, often silently and subtly, to the images and feelings you hold within. Imagination is far more than idle daydreaming or fleeting fantasy. It is the formative power behind creation itself, the workshop where unseen ideas take on the first outlines of tangible existence. When you imagine with intensity and persistence, you are, in truth, laying down the scaffolding for your future experiences. It is through the repeated dwelling upon a desired scene, infused with genuine emotion, that you impress upon the deeper layers of your mind the pattern of what must eventually manifest. Consider the simple act of visualizing your desired life. Perhaps you see yourself walking confidently into a new job, feeling the handshake of your future employer, hearing the words of congratulations from your peers. If you allow this vision to remain a passing thought, it dissolves into nothing. But if you nurture it daily, feel the reality of it as if it were already unfolding, speak about it inwardly with conviction, and return to it as one returns to a beloved melody, you begin to build a structure in the unseen. Each return strengthens the framework, each feeling of joy or confidence, while imagining adds bricks to the bridge that connects your present to that envisioned outcome. This is why it is often said that imagination is more important than mere observation of current conditions. The world you see around you is not a fixed and immovable truth, it is a shadow, an echo of the images previously impressed upon the mind. If you focus only on what is, you recycle what has been. You replicate the same circumstances because your attention is fastened upon them, feeding them with emotional energy and solidifying their place in your experience. But when you dare to look beyond the immediate evidence of your senses, when you choose to inhabit a reality not yet visible, you begin to break the cycle. Imagination works most powerfully when joined with feeling. The mere recitation of affirmations or mechanical repetition of thoughts does not carry the same creative force as vivid, emotion-rich imagery. The subconscious mind, that silent builder of bridges and opportunities, does not respond to words alone. It responds to the emotional charge behind those words. When you imagine something with true conviction, when your heart races at the thought of it, when a smile touches your lips as though it were already here, you impress that image with a potency far greater than 1,000 wishful thoughts whispered half-heartedly before sleep. Persistence is the key that turns imagination from a fleeting picture into a living reality. One vivid moment of imagination can spark desire, but it is the consistent revisiting of that mental scene that weaves it into the fabric of your future. This persistence is not laborious striving, it is a gentle but steady returning, like water carving a path through stone. Each time you imagine your ideal outcome, especially in moments of quiet or before sleep, you are adding detail to the unseen blueprint. Even when the external world appears unchanged, the inner world is under construction, and the outer must eventually follow the inner blueprint once it is firmly established. What makes this process so extraordinary is that it does not require perfect conditions, abundant resources, or even immediate evidence. The most powerful use of imagination often arises in the midst of difficulty when outward circumstances appear to contradict your inner vision. In those moments, to persist in imagining a better future is to hold the blueprint steady while the materials of reality begin to arrange themselves. Life has an uncanny way of orchestrating events, coincidences, and encounters that align with the dominant images held within your mind. You may call it chance, luck, or even fate, but it is none of these. It is the natural outflow of the unseen pattern you have nurtured with care. Many dismiss imagination as childish or unrealistic, yet those who have shaped history, discovered breakthroughs, or risen from obscurity have been those willing to give imagination a place of honor in their lives. They dared to live in the unseen first, to feel the reality of their vision long before others could. What others called impossible, they rehearsed internally until it became inevitable. This is the power that lies quietly within you now, not reserved for the few, but available to all who understand that imagination is not an escape from life, but the seedbed of life itself. When you close your eyes and vividly experience the life you desire as though it is happening now, you are sending out a silent command to the creative forces that govern existence. They do not question how it will come. They respond to the certainty with which you claim it. The blueprint you sketch in your inner world becomes the reference point from which your outer world begins to take its cues. People, circumstances, and opportunities start aligning not by accident, but by the invisible architecture you have designed through thought and feeling. Would you like me to expand the second keynote, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled? In the same style, turn this into a motivational speech segment, or create all 6 keynotes fully expanded, each 800 words as a series. Which direction would you like to go next? Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled to shape your future. You cannot merely think about what you desire. You must feel it as though it is already your present reality. This is the essence of assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, a conscious choice to dwell in the emotional and mental state of your desired outcome long before it takes physical form. The mind is the fertile soil where all experiences are conceived, and feeling is the vital ingredient that gives life to your vision. Thought alone can outline a dream, but it is the sensation, the heartbeat of the desire, that breathes reality into that outline. Every experience you have ever lived was preceded by an emotional state, whether recognized or not. The joy of achieving a goal, the relief of overcoming an obstacle, the pride of a milestone. Each was felt inwardly before the event unfolded outwardly. This is because your emotions are not passive reactions, they are active creators, sending subtle signals that shape the events to come. By deliberately assuming the emotional state of already having your desire, you begin to magnetize your life toward the experiences that correspond to that state. This practice does not ask you to ignore the present reality or pretend that it does not exist. It asks you to recognize that present conditions are not final. They are the residue of former states of mind. The moment you decide to inhabit a new feeling, a new state of consciousness, you are planting the seed for a different outcome. Just as an actor steps into a role by embodying its emotions and mannerisms, you step into the life you wish to live by feeling its reality here and now. Consider, for example, the desire to live in abundance. The natural tendency is to think about how much is missing, how far you are from financial ease. But this focus only reinforces the feeling of lack, and life reflects that back. Instead, you close your eyes and summon the sensation of relief, gratitude, and quiet confidence that comes with having more than enough. You picture yourself paying your bills with ease. You feel the lightness in your chest as debts are cleared. You sense the warmth of generosity as you share your wealth freely. These feelings become the new atmosphere you inhabit, even if your outer circumstances have yet to match them. It is the same with love, success, or health. Whatever the desire, the law remains constant. The inner assumption precedes the outer manifestation. If you long for a loving relationship, you must first cultivate the feeling of being loved and cherished. If you aim for success, you must feel the certainty, pride, and satisfaction of success before the title, the contract, or the applause arrives. The world does not bring these states to you, it mirrors them. The assumption is the cause, and the reflection is the effect. Persistence is critical in this process. One fleeting moment of imagined joy cannot undo years of habitual worry or doubt. The feeling must be revisited, strengthened, and sustained until it becomes more real to you than the evidence of your senses. The outer world may appear stubborn at first, offering little sign of change, but this is only the inertia of old assumptions playing themselves out. As you continue to feel your new reality, as you return again and again to the inner scene, where your wish is already fulfilled, you begin to shift your self-concept. And once your self-concept changes, the world inevitably bends to reflect that new conception. This is why night, just before sleep, is such a potent time for this practice. As you drift between wakefulness and rest, your mind is most impressionable and your subconscious most receptive. In this drowsy state, imagine yourself in the very moment after your desire has come true. Do not picture the process of getting there, for the how is not your task. Feel the end as real. Hear the congratulatory words, sense the environment, absorb the emotions that would be natural in that moment. If it is joy, let it flood you. If it is peace, let it quiet your mind. Drift into sleep while immersed in this feeling, and you carry that assumption deep into the creative workshop of your subconscious. The reason this principle holds such power is because consciousness creates. What you are conscious of being, you inevitably express in your world. If you are conscious of being limited, unwanted, or unlucky, the experiences that arise will confirm it. But when you change your inner state, when you consciously choose to feel abundant, loved, successful, you align yourself with the version of reality where those things already exist. The bridge between here and there is then formed by unseen forces, a series of coincidences and opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere, yet they are drawn by the magnetic power of your assumed state. Doubt is the greatest enemy of this practice, for doubt is simply the assumption that your wish will not come to pass. The mind is always assuming something. The only question is whether you will let it assume lack, fear and delay, or abundance, joy and fulfillment. The discipline lies not in effortful striving, but in gentle redirection, catching yourself when old states return and calmly moving back into the feeling you have chosen. It is a dance between patience and certainty, between imagination and embodiment, where each return to the wish fulfilled deepens the groove in your consciousness. When you learn to live from this state rather than toward it, life begins to shift in subtle but undeniable ways. People respond differently to you. Ideas appear when they are needed. Doors that were closed quietly unlock. It is not because the world suddenly changed by accident, but because your inner alignment called forth a matching outer arrangement. Would you like me to continue with the third keynote, the bridge of incidents, next? Or would you prefer me to turn the ones we've done so far into a cohesive speech or ebook style guide? Once the seed of your vision is planted, something remarkable begins to unfold beneath the surface of your awareness. Life starts to rearrange itself in ways that may seem coincidental, unexpected, or even inconvenient at first, but each event plays a role in carrying you toward your desired state. This is what can be called the bridge of incidents, a sequence of experiences, meetings, challenges, and opportunities that, while appearing disconnected, form the exact path necessary for your vision to become real. The process begins the moment you impress your desire upon your inner consciousness. Just as a seed placed in soil does not instantly become a tree, your vision does not materialize the moment you imagine it. There is a gestation period, a time during which unseen forces, opportunities, and people are moved like pieces on a vast, intricate board. You may not always recognize these movements as progress, because they often come in unexpected forms. Sometimes the bridge looks like a sudden loss, an abrupt change, a challenge that disrupts your comfort zone. Yet each step, no matter how small or strange, is part of the unfolding pattern. The bridge of incidents does not demand that you control each event or understand every step in advance. In fact, trying to plan the exact route often leads to resistance and frustration, because the path rarely unfolds in a straight line. Your role is not to dictate the bridge, but to remain faithful to the end result you have chosen. By holding firm to the vision of your fulfilled desire, you allow the bridge to construct itself through the natural flow of life's circumstances. The unseen intelligence that governs this process uses the simplest, most harmonious means to bring your desire into being, though those means may seem mysterious when viewed from the middle of the journey. Imagine you have planted the desire for a new career or a promotion. You visualize the role, feel the satisfaction of being in it. Assume the identity of someone who thrives in that position. Days or weeks later, your current job situation changes abruptly, perhaps through a restructuring, a transfer, or even the closure of a project you had relied upon. On the surface, this may seem like a setback, but in truth, it is the shifting of the scenery, the clearing of the path, making room for the very opportunity you had inwardly claimed. That uncomfortable event was a plank on the bridge, not a wall blocking the way. The bridge often involves people who play fleeting or pivotal roles in moving you closer to your desired outcome. A casual conversation might lead to a connection, an introduction, or an idea you never considered. A chance encounter may deliver the missing piece you needed to act. You may find yourself drawn to certain places, activities, or even books that carry the seed of your next step. Each of these moments, while ordinary in appearance, carries a thread that weaves into the larger pattern. Patience is essential during this unfolding. The bridge of incidents is rarely visible in its entirety, and it almost never looks like a perfect, predictable plan. From the perspective of the seed, the soil may seem dark, the pressure heavy, the process slow. Yet the seed does not resist the soil, it surrenders to it, trusting that the forces of life are carrying it upward toward the sun. In the same way, when you remain loyal to your inner vision despite appearances, you align yourself with the flow of the bridge. You cease to wrestle with the how, and instead live as though the end is assured, letting the steps appear as they must. This does not mean passivity or inaction. The bridge often presents you with opportunities that require your participation. You may feel inspired to make a call, to send an email, to learn a new skill, to take a small leap in the direction of your dream. These impulses are the echoes of your fulfilled desire calling you forward. They are not forced actions born of desperation, but natural movements arising from a state of inner conviction. When you act in this way, you are walking the bridge plank by plank without strain or anxiety. Sometimes the bridge includes events you would not have consciously chosen. It may ask you to let go of something you once clung to, or to face a situation you had avoided. In the moment, such experiences can feel like detours, but they are often the very conditions that shape you into the version of yourself who can sustain the fulfillment you have imagined. If your vision is to embody abundance, you may first encounter lessons about worthiness or responsibility. If your desire is for deep love, you may first meet situations that reveal old wounds or patterns, so they can be released. Each piece of the bridge is purposeful, even if it is only understood in hindsight. The beauty of this process is that it does not rely on force, luck, or struggle. It is a natural unfolding once the vision has been clearly claimed. The universe, life, or the deeper intelligence within you begins to orchestrate the symphony of events that carry you from where you are to where you have already arrived inwardly. You do not need to strain to find the bridge. You walk it by persisting in the assumption of the fulfilled desire and responding naturally to the movements that appear in your path. The bridge of incidents is a reminder that creation is not instantaneous for most things, but it is inevitable for that which has been accepted and felt as real within. When you feel the end is already achieved and live from that inner certainty, you cannot miss the path. Every step, even the ones you question, becomes part of the journey that delivers you to the state you have claimed. The bridge is always building itself the moment you plant the seed of your vision and allow it to take root in your imagination. Would you like me to now expand your inner conversations shape outer circumstances? The fourth keynote in the same way, or should I compile the 3 expanded keynotes into a flowing manuscript for a book or speech series? Every person carries on a constant dialogue within their mind, a quiet, often unnoticed stream of thoughts, assumptions, and self-talk that runs from the moment they wake to the moment they drift to sleep. These inner conversations are not meaningless noise. They are the architects of the world you inhabit. The dialogue you rehearse internally becomes the script upon which your outer life is staged. Just as a playwright determines the lines, scenes, and direction of a performance, your inner words and thoughts determine the roles you play, the people you attract, and the situations you encounter. Think for a moment about the conversations you have with yourself each day. Are they filled with doubt, criticism, and anticipation of failure? Or are they rich with confidence, encouragement, and expectation of success? The nature of this inner dialogue reveals the state you dwell in, and the state you dwell in determines what you experience. If your mental chatter constantly affirms limitation, statements like, "I'm not good enough," "It never works out for me," or "I can't afford that," you are scripting a play where those lines must be acted out. Life, like an obedient actor, follows the cues you give it. This principle is subtle yet incredibly powerful. Many attempt to change their outer world by working harder, rearranging circumstances, or seeking validation from others, yet they leave the inner script untouched. They continue rehearsing conversations of rejection, conflict, and defeat, and then wonder why similar patterns appear repeatedly in their lives. The truth is, outer events are often delayed reflections of these inner stories. Change the conversation within, and over time, the reflection must shift. Consider the example of someone who desires harmonious relationships. Outwardly, they may try to be kind, generous, and accommodating, but inwardly they rehearse scenes of argument, replay memories of being mistreated, or imagine being betrayed. Each inner dialogue fuels the emotional atmosphere they carry, and this atmosphere is what others unconsciously respond to. If they instead began to speak inwardly words of affection, understanding, and respect, not about others' flaws, but about their own worthiness and capacity to give and receive love, they would be rewriting the script. In time, the roles others play in their life must adjust to match the new dialogue being broadcast from within. The process of shaping your inner conversations is not about forced positivity or denial of challenges. It is about conscious authorship, choosing the narrative you repeat, especially in moments of quiet reflection or heightened emotion. The mind, left to its own momentum, often loops on the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. It recalls past hurts, imagines future disappointments, or argues with imagined adversaries. To break this cycle, you must become aware of the tone and content of your inner speech, and then deliberately redirect it toward the reality you wish to live. One effective way to practice this is to catch yourself in the act of negative or self-defeating inner conversation and pause. Ask yourself, is this the script I want to keep performing? Then, without strain, replace it with a new line, one that supports the version of you that already lives in your desired state. If the old line says, "No one appreciates what I do," the new line might be, "I am valued and recognized for the contributions I make." If the old script repeats, "I never seem to get ahead," the new script could be, "Life supports me and opportunities flow to me with ease." Over time, these revised lines become natural, and as they become natural, the outer world begins to mirror them back. This practice works because your inner speech is not private in the sense most believe it to be. It is silent to others' ears, but it is vibrationally active in the field of life. Your assumptions about others often call forth their matching behavior, just as your assumptions about yourself determine how you carry yourself, how you respond to circumstances, and what you are willing to accept. Someone who constantly tells themselves, "I am overlooked," may unconsciously act in ways that invite being overlooked. By staying quiet, by avoiding opportunities, by shrinking in the presence of recognition. Yet if they change the inner line to, "I am seen, I am heard, I am valuable," they begin to stand differently, speak differently, expect differently. And the outer stage responds in kind. Nighttime again becomes a powerful moment for this work. As you drift into sleep, the mind is impressionable, and the conversations you rehearse in that state are often the ones most deeply recorded. Rather than reviewing the day's conflicts or disappointments, choose to replay inner scenes of harmony, success, or gratitude. Speak inwardly to those you love as if they already understand you. Talk to yourself as if your dream has already come true. These simple but potent dialogues begin to gather force in the subconscious, and the subconscious, being the silent director of your life's play, will instruct the actors and set pieces of your world accordingly. Patience is vital, for the stage does not always change overnight. Old scripts may still play out for a time, just as an actor may continue reciting yesterday's lines out of habit. But if you persist, if you hold the new dialogue steady without frustration or force, the old script loses its grip. Life, ever faithful to your dominant inner state, begins to recast, redirect, and reframe the scenes. People may exit your life, new ones may enter, opportunities may appear, or challenges may dissolve without your conscious effort. All of this happens not by manipulation of the external world, but by the simple, profound act of rewriting your inner speech. The dialogue you carry within is your daily script writing session, and every word shapes the scenes to come. Each inner conversation is a rehearsal for tomorrow's performance, a quiet spell cast upon the stage of reality. Whether you choose to rehearse limitation or expansion, fear or courage, resentment or love, life has no choice but to echo it. The key is to become aware, to become intentional, and to choose each line with the knowledge that it is not a whisper lost to the wind, but a seed planted in the fabric of your experience. Would you like me to move next to? Revision rewrites the past to create a new future. In this same detailed style, or should I compile these expanded keynotes into a structured manuscript book with a foreword and flow? The past is often regarded as fixed, a chain of events carved into stone, unchangeable and final. Yet the power of consciousness reveals something far more liberating. The past, at least as it lives within you, is not a static monument but a living memory, and memory can be reshaped. Revision is the deliberate act of reimagining past events with a better outcome, thereby changing your emotional relationship to them and unlocking new pathways for the future to unfold. Each memory you carry is not merely an image or a fact, it is a living impression imbued with emotion. These impressions influence the choices you make, the beliefs you hold, and the expectations you set for what is to come. If a past event carries the weight of shame, betrayal, rejection, or failure, its shadow can extend far into your present decisions, often unconsciously. You may avoid opportunities, distrust relationships, or sabotage your own progress because the past still whispers its version of truth to you. Revision offers a way to rewrite those whispers, to alter the script retroactively so that its influence on the present is transformed. The process of revision begins with a willingness to revisit an event that has left its mark upon you. It may be a moment of humiliation in childhood, a conversation that ended in misunderstanding, a decision you regret, or a situation where you felt powerless. Instead of reliving it with the same old sting, you enter it with the intention to reshape it. Close your eyes, recall the scene as vividly as you can, but this time introduce a different ending, a different response, a different outcome. If someone rejected you, imagine them embracing you instead. If you faltered, imagine yourself acting with strength and clarity. If words were spoken in anger, hear them replaced with words of kindness or understanding. This is not self-deception or fantasy for its own sake. It is an act of reclaiming your creative power. The subconscious mind does not differentiate strongly between vividly imagined experiences and those that occurred in the physical realm. It responds to impressions, to feelings, to the images you hold most frequently. When you revise a past event with a new narrative, you are not erasing history, but you are altering the emotional charge it holds within you. That shift in charge ripples outward, influencing your self-image and the assumptions you project onto future circumstances. For instance, consider someone who was humiliated during a public presentation in school. That single moment may linger as a fear of speaking, a belief that I always fail in front of others, a quiet dread of being seen. Through revision, they can re-enter that scene and rewrite it. They imagine the same classroom, the same peers, the same moment. But this time, they deliver their presentation with confidence, they hear applause, they feel the warmth of approval. As they repeat this revision with genuine feeling, the original sting begins to lose its hold, and a new self-concept, I am confident when speaking, starts to take root. Revision can also apply to interactions with others. Relationships often carry wounds from miscommunication or misunderstanding. By revising the past interaction, not only do you lighten your emotional burden, but you also shift the energy you hold toward that person. This can lead to real changes in the relationship, sometimes in surprising ways. The outer world tends to reflect the inner state, and when your inner state toward someone is healed, opportunities for reconciliation or improvement often appear naturally, without force. The best time to practice revision is often at the end of the day. As you prepare for sleep, review the moments that stood out, especially those that stirred discomfort, frustration, or regret. Rather than letting them solidify into another day's worth of resentment or defeat, mentally rewrite them. See the conversation go well. Hear the words you wish had been spoken. Feel the satisfaction of having acted with wisdom or kindness. Drift into sleep with this revised scene impressed upon your mind, and it begins to overwrite the emotional echo of the actual event. This practice does not deny reality. It acknowledges that the only reality you truly live is the one filtered through your consciousness. By altering the lens of memory, you alter the trajectory of your experience. The future is not built from facts alone, it is built from your assumptions about what is possible, and those assumptions are often rooted in past experiences. Revision uproots the weeds of limitation and plants seeds of empowerment in their place. Persistence is essential, for deep-seated memories may resist at first. The old story feels familiar, almost comfortable in its pain, because it has been rehearsed for years. Yet with patience and repetition, the revised version begins to feel more real than the original. The subconscious, ever obedient to the dominant impression, starts to act as though the new version is the truth. Behavior shifts, expectations shift, and new opportunities arise that were previously blocked by the weight of the old story. Some discover that revision not only changes how they feel about the past, but also produces tangible changes in the present that seem to ripple backward in time. People they had strained relationships with begin to act differently. Situations they once saw as failures reveal hidden benefits or lead to new doors. It is as though the thread of the past, once pulled taut with tension, has been loosened and woven into a pattern that supports the future they desire. Through revision, the past ceases to be a prison and becomes a field of creative opportunity. Each memory becomes a piece of clay that can be reshaped to support the version of yourself you choose to embody now. You are not bound to carry the same emotional burdens, to repeat the same mistakes, to live in the echo of old wounds. By consciously revisiting and revising, you create space for a different future. one that is not a reaction to pain, but a reflection of the healing you have already lived within. Would you like me to now expand? Faith is persistence in the unseen. The final keynote in the same style. Or should I start compiling all these expanded keynotes into a full transformative guided book draft with flow, chapter titles, and a cohesive structure? Faith is persistence in the unseen. Faith is often misunderstood as a passive hope, a fragile wish cast into the unknown with fingers crossed and eyes shut tight. Yet true faith is not fragile. It is an unshakable inner stance, a persistence in the unseen that carries you across the gap between where you are and where you wish to be. The unseen bridge is not built of physical planks or stones. It is built of belief, of sustained conviction that what you desire is already yours, long before the evidence of your senses gives you permission to claim it. This kind of faith is a creative force. It is not about waiting for signs. It is about becoming the sign within yourself. To persist in the unseen is to continue walking when the road is foggy, to hold the feeling of the fulfilled desire even when the outer world remains silent. It is a refusal to bow to appearances, for appearances are nothing more than the shadow of past beliefs and former assumptions. Faith says, I know this is mine, even when the outer world says, there is no sign of it. Persistence is the heartbeat of faith. A single moment of belief may spark a desire, but it is the repeated returning to that inner certainty that creates momentum. Just as a seed cannot sprout if it is dug up every day to check its progress, a desire cannot flourish if it is constantly uprooted by doubt, fear, or impatience. Faith is the steady hand that keeps the seed undisturbed, nourished by the light of expectation. It does not demand proof, for it knows that proof is simply the echo of what has already been accepted as true within. Imagine someone seeking to transform their health after years of illness or limitation. The visible evidence, the symptoms, the medical reports, the opinions of others may all insist that change is improbable or even impossible. But if they cultivate faith, they turn their focus inward. They begin to feel what it would be like to be well, to move freely, to live vibrantly. They persist in this feeling despite setbacks, despite slow progress, despite the voices that echo doubt. Each day they reaffirm quietly but firmly that wholeness is their true nature. In time, the body begins to align with the state of mind that has been steadfastly maintained. Faith is not blind, it is visionary. It sees with an inner eye what is not yet visible to the outer eye. When you possess such faith, you do not ignore the facts of the world, but you refuse to make them the final authority. Facts are only the footprints of old beliefs. They can change as easily as the sand shifts under the tide. Faith holds to the end state, the final scene where the desire is already accomplished, and lives as though that scene is the present reality. This does not mean forcing optimism or pretending joy when the heart feels heavy. It means choosing again and again to return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to remind yourself quietly that what is unseen is no less real. The bridge you walk is invisible only to the eyes that demand proof before they take a step. To the inner vision, the bridge is already there, and each act of faith lays another plank beneath your feet. Doubt is the natural resistance you will meet on this path. It whispers that you are foolish to believe in what you cannot see, that you are wasting time, that nothing is changing. But doubt is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that the old state is still asserting its echo. The practice of faith is not the absence of doubt. It is the choice to persist despite doubt. Each time you return to the feeling of the end, you weaken the grip of the old story and strengthen the new one. This persistence often requires a certain quiet strength, a willingness to keep your inner world aligned even when your outer world gives you reasons to abandon hope. Others may not understand your confidence. They may question your choices or dismiss your vision. Yet faith is a solitary bridge. It does not depend on the approval of others, nor does it need their agreement. It is your inner contract with the unseen, your private knowing that what you have felt as real will one day leave its mark upon the visible world. The nights when nothing seems to move, the mornings when the evidence seems unchanged, these are the moments when faith is truly forged. It is easy to believe when signs abound, when opportunities flood in and doors swing wide. It is in the silence, in the delay, in the tension between desire and manifestation that faith proves its strength. To persist here is to plant your flag on the invisible shore and declare it yours before the land emerges from the mist. This principle applies to every sphere of life: wealth, health, relationships, personal growth. The bridge to each is the same, a series of unseen steps taken in trust, a continual rehearsal of the fulfilled state until it becomes more familiar than the present conditions. Faith does not wait idly, it prepares inwardly. It thinks from the end, speaks as though the desire has already happened, and feels the satisfaction of completion long before the outer scene catches up. The beauty of such faith is that it does not strain or force. It is not a desperate clawing for what is not here. It is a calm possession of what already is, in the only place it must first exist, the realm of consciousness. From that place, the world reshapes itself with uncanny precision. Circumstances rearrange, people appear, opportunities align, not because you wrestled them into being, but because you persisted in the unseen until the seen had no choice but to conform. So the question is not, where is my bridge? The real question is, am I willing to walk on it before I see it? Because your future is waiting, not across a chasm of chance, but just one step beyond the belief that it is already yours. Step forward today and watch the unseen bridge rise to meet your feet.